Emma never imagined she would become the center of a life-changing story. As a waitress in a high-end restaurant, she served wealthy customers who barely noticed people like her. Every night, she worked tirelessly, her feet aching, earning just enough to survive in her tiny apartment. Despite the struggles, she remained kind, always willing to help others, even when it didn't benefit her. But that very kindness was about to change everything. When a quiet man in a hoodie walked in that night, Emma had no idea she was about to lose everything, only to gain more than she ever dreamed. It was just another evening at the restaurant, another night of serving expensive meals to people who never thought twice about the struggles of those bringing food to their tables. Emma was used to it. She had learned to navigate this world of polished silverware and crystal glasses, where the rich and powerful dined without ever acknowledging the people who made their experience seamless. But that night was different. The door swung open and a man stepped inside. He wasn't like the usual customers who entered with confidence, expecting to be waited on. He wore a simple black hoodie, jeans, and a cap pulled low over his face. He moved quietly, almost as if he was trying not to draw attention to himself. But Emma recognized him the moment their eyes met. Keanu Reeves. For a second, she hesitated. What was he doing here, in a restaurant like this? He wasn't the type to flaunt his status, and he certainly didn't fit in with the elite crowd that surrounded her every night. Still, he took a seat in the corner, not demanding anything, not asking for special treatment, just sitting there, as if he were just another ordinary man. A waitress approached him hesitantly, whispering something before quickly retreating. Emma could tell something was wrong by the way the woman's face flushed with discomfort. Moments later, the restaurant manager, Mr. Daniels, stormed out of his office, his expression a practiced mix of false politeness and firm authority. "I'm sorry, sir," Mr. Daniels said, his voice dripping with insincerity. "We have a strict reservation-only policy. I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to leave." Keanu didn't argue. He simply reached into his pocket, nodding, "I understand. I'll just order something to go." But before he could even pull out his wallet, Mr. Daniels scoffed. "I don't think you understand. This isn't the kind of place where you can just walk in and..." That was it. Emma had heard enough. Without thinking, she stepped forward. "He's not causing any trouble," she said firmly. "If he wants to order, let him." The room went silent. Conversation stopped. Wealthy patrons turned their heads, their interest piqued by the unfolding confrontation. Mr. Daniels' glare hardened. "Emma, stay out of this." But she didn't. Instead, she grabbed a menu and placed it in front of Keanu. "What would you like?" she asked, ignoring the growing tension in the air. Keanu gave her a small, appreciative smile. "Just a simple meal would be great." Mr. Daniels' face turned red with anger. His voice dropped to a sharp whisper. "That's it. You're done." Emma's stomach dropped. "What?" "You heard me," he hissed. "You're fired. Get out." For a moment, she stood there frozen. Everything she had worked for, gone. All because she did what she believed was right. She glanced at Keanu, whose face was unreadable. Then, without another word, she took off her apron, threw it on the counter, and walked out. She had no idea that by the next day, everything would change. Emma walked through the cold, empty streets, her mind racing, her heart heavy. The neon lights from nearby storefronts flickered, casting long shadows as she pulled her coat tighter around herself. The city felt different now, colder, harsher. Just hours ago, she had a job, a steady, if exhausting routine. Now, she was jobless, discarded like she never mattered. 2 years. 2 years of hard work, staying late, covering extra shifts, putting up with rude customers, and an even worse manager. And for what? To be thrown out like she was nothing. All because she chose to help someone. She had known Mr. Daniels was a selfish man, but she never thought he'd actually fire her over something as simple as letting someone order food. Especially someone like Keanu Reeves. But that was the cruel reality of the world she lived in. People like Daniels held the power. People like her disposed. By the time she reached her tiny apartment, her hands were trembling, though she wasn't sure if it was from the cold or from the overwhelming sense of loss weighing on her chest. She dropped her bag by the door and collapsed onto her bed, staring up at the cracked ceiling. Rent was due in a week. She had no savings, no backup plan, no idea what to do next. A sharp buzz broke the silence. Her phone. Mia, her best friend. "Hey, I just heard what happened. Are you okay?" Emma sighed, running a hand through her hair before typing back. Lost my job for trying to help someone. Feels like I did the right thing, but it still sucks. A response came almost instantly. Wait, you don't mean Keanu Reeves? Emma hesitated before replying. Yo? What? For a long moment, there was nothing. Then, another buzz. This time, a screenshot. Emma's eyes widened. It was a photo from the restaurant taken by one of the customers. The caption beneath it read, "Waitress fired for helping Keanu Reeves after a rude manager humiliates him. Disgusting." She scrolled down. The comments were exploding. Who fires someone for being kind? This restaurant is done. Boycott them. Find this waitress. She deserves better. Emma's hands shook. People were standing up for her, complete strangers, defending her, demanding justice. Her phone rang, an unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. A calm, familiar voice came through the line. Emma, this is Keanu. Her breath caught in her throat. She sat up so fast she nearly fell off the bed. But what? A soft chuckle, warm, reassuring. I just wanted to check on you. What happened back there wasn't fair. Emma swallowed hard. I appreciate that, but I'll be fine. I just didn't think standing up for someone would cost me my job. Keanu was silent for a moment. Then he said something that sent chills down her spine. It won't cost you anything, Emma. In fact, it might be the best thing that ever happened to you. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed again, another screenshot. This time, it was from a major news outlet. Waitress fired for defending Keanu Reeves. Hollywood star speaks out. Emma's jaw dropped. What did you do? She whispered. Keanu's voice remained calm. I just told the truth. That you stood up for what was right. Emma scrolled through the article, her hands shaking. Keanu Reeves had spoken publicly about her. It's not about me, the article quoted him. It's about how we treat people. This woman showed kindness, and she was punished for it. That's not the world I want to live in. Emma's head spun. This was insane. The restaurant's social media was in complete chaos. Thousands of people were posting negative reviews. Some were calling for the manager to be fired. Her story had gone viral. Her phone rang again. Keanu? Emma, I have an idea, he said. But first, I need to ask, do you trust me? She didn't even hesitate. Yes. He paused. Then, in a voice steady and certain, he said, Good. Pack your bags, your life is about to change. Emma sat frozen on her bed, gripping her phone like it was the only thing tethering her to reality. Keanu Reeves just told her to pack her bags. It didn't make sense. Just 24 hours ago, she was a waitress, scraping by, barely surviving. Now she was trending online, a symbol of kindness in a world that seemed to punish it. Her heart pounded as she reread the message. Pack your bags, your life is about to change. Was this real? Could she trust it? Then she remembered the way Keanu had looked at her last night. Calm, steady, completely unfazed by the chaos around him. He wasn't the type to say something he didn't mean. Morning came faster than she expected. She barely slept, her mind spinning with possibilities. What could he possibly have planned? What did pack your bags even mean? Where was she going? At exactly 9 a.m., a sleek black car pulled up outside her tiny apartment. She hesitated at the door, suitcase in hand, before stepping outside. A well-dressed man with sunglasses stepped out, nodding politely. Miss Emma? She swallowed hard and nodded. Please. The moment she slid into the back seat, her nerves kicked in. The car pulled away, the city streets blurring past her. This wasn't just some random meeting. Keanu had a plan. After about 30 minutes, the car slowed in front of a massive modern building, the kind of place only the rich and powerful walked into. Emma stepped out, feeling completely out of place. Before she could question anything, the door swung open. Standing there, waiting for her, was Keanu Reeves. He smiled, ready to change your life. Emma swallowed hard. I think so. Keanu nodded. Good, because we have work to do. She followed him through the grand glass doors, her heart hammering in her chest. The lobby was breathtaking. High ceilings, marble floors, walls lined with artwork. It wasn't just any building. It meant something. She turned to Keanu. What is this place? He glanced at her with a knowing smile. You'll see soon enough. They stepped into an elevator, the doors sliding shut behind them. Emma could feel the weight of it all pressing down on her. What could he possibly want with someone like her? With a soft ding, the doors opened. Emma stepped out into a breathtaking office space. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a long glass conference table in the center. A group of well-dressed people staring at her with curiosity. Keanu gestured toward them. Emma, meet the team. She blinked. Team? What team? He chuckled. Mine? Emma stared at him, completely lost. I don't understand. Keanu leaned against the desk, his expression turning serious. After what happened last night, I started thinking, you didn't just lose a job, Emma. You lost a job for doing the right thing, and that's not something that should be punished. It's something that should be rewarded. Emma's breath caught in her throat. I appreciate this, but... He raised a hand, stopping her. Hear me out. I have projects, charities, organizations, businesses, and I need people I can trust, people with integrity. His gaze locked onto hers. People like you. Emma felt like the ground had just disappeared beneath her feet. You were offering me a job? Keanu smiled. Not just a job, a purpose. She could barely process what was happening. Yesterday, she was a waitress, struggling to make ends meet. Today, she was standing in an office with Keanu Reeves, being offered a chance to change her life. She took a shaky breath. What would I be doing? Keanu grinned. Let's just say, helping people. The way you helped me. Her mind spun. Was she dreaming? Could she actually do this? Then, as if sensing her hesitation, Keanu said something that shattered every doubt she had left. You stood up for a stranger when you had nothing to gain. Imagine what you could do when you actually had the power to make a difference. Emma's doubt melted away. She met his gaze and nodded. I'm in. Keanu's smile widened. Then let's get started. Emma sat at the long glass conference table, surrounded by people who looked like they belonged in this high-rise office overlooking the city. She didn't. At least, that's what she kept telling herself. Just yesterday, she was carrying trays, taking orders, scrubbing tables. Now, she was here, sitting across from Keanu Reeves, who was looking at her like she actually mattered. She swallowed hard, her palms sweaty. How did she get here? Keanu leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. Emma, I know this is a lot, but I want you to really listen to what I'm about to say. His voice was steady, calm, like he had already figured everything out. What happened to you last night? It wasn't just about one bad manager. It's bigger than that. She nodded slowly, still trying to piece it all together. Keanu gestured toward the team around him. Everyone in this room is here because they believe in something bigger than themselves. We fight for the people who don't have a voice, the workers who are mistreated, the students who can't afford to chase their dreams, the single parents who are overworked and underpaid. Emma's stomach tightened. She knew what it was like to feel powerless, like no one cared about people like her. Keanu continued. When you stood up for me, you weren't just standing up for one person. You were proving that kindness still exists, that integrity still matters. And the world saw it. That's why people are fighting for you right now. Because you gave them hope. Emma let out a shaky breath. I don't know what to say. Keanu smiled. You don't have to say anything yet. Just listen. A blonde woman at the table, sharp-eyed, confident, spoke up. Emma, we have resources, connections, the ability to make real change. We help wrongfully fired workers, expose corrupt businesses, and fund legal aid for those who can't afford it. We turn injustice into action. Emma's heart pounded. And? You want me to be part of this? Keanu nodded. You've been on the other side. You know what it feels like to be powerless? That's what makes you perfect for this. She hesitated, her fingers gripping the edge of the table. I don't have experience. I don't have a degree. I was just a waitress. Keanu's expression softened. You weren't just a waitress. You were someone who stood up when it would have been easier to look away. You don't need a degree to have integrity. You just need to care, and you do. Emma felt a lump rise in her throat. For the first time in her life, someone was telling her she was enough, that what she had to offer mattered. She looked around the room. These people, they were serious. They weren't playing games. This was real. And for the first time since she lost her job, she didn't feel lost. She felt needed. She met Keanu's gaze, her voice firm despite the emotions welling up inside her. I want to help. Keanu's smile widened. Then welcome to the team. Emma exhaled, a mix of relief and disbelief washing over her. Yesterday, she was nobody. Today, she had a purpose. And deep down, she knew this was only the beginning. Emma's phone buzzed, another unknown number. Her heart pounded as she hesitated before answering. Hello? A cold, mocking voice slithered through the speaker. I don't know who you think you are, but you just made a very powerful enemy. Emma's blood ran cold. She gripped the phone tighter. Who is this? A low chuckle, let's just say. You should have stayed in your place. The line went dead. Emma sat frozen, her hands trembling. This wasn't over. Whoever it was, they wanted her to back down. They wanted her to be afraid. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to stay calm. She wasn't that powerless waitress anymore. Keanu noticed her pale expression. Emma, what happened? She met his gaze. Someone doesn't want me helping you. Silence fell over the room. The blonde woman from earlier was already on her laptop. I'll trace the call. Keanu's jaw tightened. We'll handle this. A few minutes later, the woman turned her screen around. A name flashed across it. Emma's heart stopped. It was her former manager. Emma stared at the screen, her former manager's name burning into her mind. Of course it was him, the same man who humiliated her, fired her without hesitation, and made her feel like she was nothing. Now he was trying to scare her into silence. But Emma wasn't that powerless waitress anymore. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. What do we do? She asked, her voice firm. The blonde woman smirked. Ooh, I have a few ideas. Keanu chuckled, though his expression held a quiet determination. It's time we show him that his power means nothing when the truth is on our side. The next morning, Emma woke up to a flood of notifications. Her story had gone everywhere. Headlines exploded across social media. Waitress fired for helping Keanu Reeves. Corrupt manager exposed. Hollywood star takes a stand against workplace injustice. Hero waitress fights back, and she's not alone. She sat up in bed, scrolling through the endless waves of support. Thousands of people were sharing their own experiences. Employees mistreated, workers fired unfairly, voices silenced. Her inbox was flooded with messages from strangers. Thank you for speaking up. I've been too scared to do the same. Your story gave me the courage to stand up for myself. People like you make the world better. Emma wiped a tear from her cheek. This wasn't just about her anymore. Her phone buzzed again. A text from Keanu. Check the news, your old boss got what he deserved. Her hands shook as she opened the latest headlines. Restaurant faces massive backlash. Manager fired amid public outrage. Emma let out a breathless laugh. Justice. The restaurant had been hit with so much backlash that the owners had no choice. They fired the manager. The same man who threw her out like she was disposable was now the one being discarded. For the first time in her life, she felt powerful. Her phone rang. Keanu, she answered, barely able to contain her emotions. So, he said, his voice warm, how does it feel to change the world? Emma smiled, staring out at the rising sun. The world had never seemed so full of possibilities. It feels like just the beginning. Emma stood by the window, the morning sun casting a golden glow over the city. Just days ago, she had been a struggling waitress, living paycheck to paycheck, invisible to the world. Now, she was a symbol of something bigger. The fight wasn't just about her job anymore. It was about every worker who had ever been mistreated, every person who had been silenced, every injustice swept under the rug. And people were paying attention. Her phone buzzed again, another message from a stranger. I quit my job today. My boss treated me like garbage, but after reading your story, I finally had the courage to walk away. Emma exhaled, her chest tightening. She had made a difference. And Keanu's voice from their last call echoed in her head. This is only the beginning. And he was right. Emma turned away from the window, her resolve stronger than ever. She had a purpose now. She wasn't just reacting to injustice, she was fighting back. As she grabbed her bag and headed for the door, one thought filled her mind. She was just getting started.